So we finally got a new dev diary video from Test Drive Unlimited Solo Crown covering the very near future, that being the very first patch, and as well as addressing some concerns and feedback from the community as we see it. So let's take a look at this video. I'm going to obviously shorten it down because I'm not going to post up the full 23 minutes. This is going to be a quick summary. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. And by the way, it's separated into quite a few parts. First, the server issues they talk about. Then they talk about optimization, Season 1, offline solo features, crossplay, cross-region, AIs, meta, compensation, and just a conclusion is everything that we're going to go over in this dev diary. So let's take a look at what they have to say. So we're going to have Alain Janou and Guillaume Guinet talking to us about TDSC.
And we wanted to take a moment to talk with you, to go over everything that's happened so far. A lot has happened. There have been plenty of questions raised by the player community, and we also encountered some launch issues, especially with the servers. We're aware of that. So we wanted to address it, talk about what's been happening, discuss the steps we're taking, and also give you an idea of what's coming very soon for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Regarding the launch of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, we experienced some network issues, despite our efforts to put in place as many safeguards as possible to ensure things would go smoothly. I worked on the previous Test Drive game, TDU2, and back then we faced major network problems.
Yeah, they did
I really
indeed.
didn't want to go through that again. So with Solar Crown, things are going better because players can access the game. Some had to try a few times, especially at the beginning.
So the server issues is obviously quite evident for the launch of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, and even now, from what I'm aware of, the servers aren't at 100%. Maybe they're at 90 or something like that, but I don't think they're at 100%. But with that being said, hopefully the patch next week does actually bring that to us. I do also think it was a bit of a communication slip up there as well, because Alain Janou did say that the release of TDC was better because it just took some people a couple of tries to get in, but the issue is TD2 was offline. So when you can make that comparison, the easy answer is that you can still play TD2 offline, which unfortunately, you know, for you guys, most of you guys will latch onto that and you'll notice, well, yeah, we couldn't play the game. So you're not wrong there. And the difference is, though, for what I think Alain Janou was trying to say, is that the online portion of TDOC is running better sooner than it did in TDU2, which is true. But again, that's going to be subjective depending on how you look at it. Now, Guillaume goes on to give us more details about how the slip-ups on the server side of things happened, and I'll let that part play right now.
Because we were always prepared for a large number of players, but it did reveal problems that we couldn't detect before. So right now, that's what we're working on fixing. A lot of things will be coming with the week 1 patch, which is what we call it internally. It's essentially the patch that's coming very soon. It's going to address a lot of server-side issues, as Alain mentioned, and during maintenance we've already been able to fix some things server-side. But now we need to make bigger fixes that we call client-side correction. Those are issues in the game itself. So these are big changes that are coming soon.
So it looks like when we actually get the patch, it is going to improve that, hopefully that 10% or 20% margin of error with the current servers. Hopefully that does improve it, because as you guys have seen in my streams, there are still issues with us joining players sometimes, or even getting group races to work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It still, for sure, is better than what it was at launch, but clearly there's still some way to go, and hopefully that patch, I really do hope this patch cements that, because with the season starting next week on Wednesday, we're gonna need ranked races working, we're gonna need the player base numbers to rise, and a lot more. But there's a lot more you need to do to this game in order to increase its popularity and community morale than just adding one patch. This is something that has to be built over the future months to come for the life of this game, and obviously, fingers crossed, the future years as well. Furthermore, Guillaume does go on to say that things like the small server issues, such as our saves not saving points of interest, that's going to be fixed in the major patch, and obviously much more. And following that, Alain does go on to say that this major patch is also going to come with a major server-sided maintenance, which again is going to improve overall the server side and game progress entirely. So again, sounds like this patch really is supposed to be a big one, and it is supposed to have like 300 fixes, as I told you guys. No patch notes yet, but hopefully we get that in the very near future. So after they talk about these server issues, they then go ahead and talk about optimization, which let's go ahead and take a look.
As you've noticed, there are some small performance drops. Initially, with this first patch, we'll mainly focus on all consoles and platforms, but the emphasis will be on PC. Overall, you can expect a better experience soon. A second patch will come a little later that will specifically address issues on the PS5. We know we are currently experiencing performance problems on the PS5, particularly with lower graphics quality. All of that will be included in a major patch for the PS5, which is separate from this first patch because it's obviously much larger, more involved, and requires more testing. But it is coming, and it's coming soon as well.
So again, optimization is a big thing. Looks like we're going to be getting 2 major patches before the Ibiza DLC, which is supposed to be slated for December. Now that being said, I want to assume if this one's coming in October, the beginning of October, I guess, because we're about to be in that, I assume maybe mid-November or maybe beginning of December, but it wouldn't really make sense to have it the same month as Ibiza. So hopefully mid-November is when we see the second major patch, which I think is going to include the further fixes and frame rate for PS5, which you just mentioned. But PC gets this one in the current day one, or not really day one, the first patch for the game. So that's that for optimization. Let's go ahead and continue, because next they talk about Season 1, which isn't really that much. So once the patch comes out, obviously hopefully the beginning of next week, Season 1 is going to start on Wednesday, and then that's when we're going to see the new vehicle in the Solar Hotel, which I told you guys about. But basically that's going to be tied to ranked, and obviously this patch directly correlates exactly what we want to see in the video. And obviously this patch directly correlates to the new season start, so that there's balancing and much more. I believe hopefully an anti-cheat is also going to be added, because cheaters is a big thing, and I wish they did cover anti-cheat in this video and cheaters in general, because that seems to be something that's very big and happening right now in this game. I do believe we will be seeing an anti-cheat for this patch, like I said though, but again, it would have been nice to at least have them cover that and bring it up in this video as well. But let's continue on. The next part they talk about is offline and solo features, which I'll summarize really quick because it's pretty long. So just a little summary over the whole offline portion of the video. This is what he says.
There's the end-of-life phase, moving the game toward this offline dimension where it can be delivered. Then there's the solo mode, as you mentioned, where we mainly want to focus on races because we know that the core gaming experience of TDU is, after all, racing.
Now that unfortunately that is probably one of the harshest things that was said in the whole dev interview, because obviously, you know, I'd say lifestyle is the biggest part. Now I know when I spoke to Guillaume and we did give each other feedback on the future of the game, and I know that Kiloton and Nakan are both aware of the whole lifestyle elements of TDU. I think this is just, again, you know, misrelayed to us their intentions, because obviously, you know, we have houses coming, hopefully that would be in year 2. We have much more lifestyle features such as missions, and obviously throughout this season of the first year we might also see some additions of some small things that definitely help the lifestyle features of TDUSC. Now that being said, you know, I think and I do hope in the future for further communications they need to submit to us, because I'm one guy, and because I have intel and insights about the future of the game and what they're working on, what their ideas are, it's easier for me to understand that they do still care about the lifestyle of the TDU franchise. But for you guys at face value, that's not what you see, and that has to be communicated to you so you understand, just as I do, that, you know, the future of TDU is still lifestyle. They still are going to do houses, they still are going to add missions, they're still going to add all those things that were missing from past TDU games, because we all know, you know, that is what's missing from this game. It is unfortunately objectively not a TDU game, but it can get there. It's just that it needs to be acknowledged, and although it has been acknowledged internally, I really do hope that they, for further communications, they mention lifestyles more and more, because that's what truly cemented the differences between Forza Horizon, the crew, and obviously Test Drive Limited Solar Crown. Now, like I said other than that, it goes on to talk about the solo features, for example, races as such, and then there's really much more to it. Now, there is a section about crossplay, which I'll just tell you guys really quick about it. Now, it was mentioned that crossplay is actually fairly easy to do in Test Drive Limited Solar Crown because the server data is kind of synced, but there's different constraints between, say, consoles and PC and other things as such that need to be worked on and tested before they even get into that. So there's no real confirmation that we're going to be seeing it anytime soon, but if it does happen, I do hope that's going to hopefully come in year 2 as well. It seems like everything's a year 2 thing, right? But year 2, I'm hopefully thinking is when we can see crossplay, because it is needed, especially with how the player base numbers are. It was mentioned in a press release that TDSC is actually getting almost 100,000 players concurrently. Now, obviously, compared to Steam, that's not a lot. So crossplay will help a lot with the whole MMO feel, and obviously, if this is an MMO, crossplay only makes sense. Now, the next part that's talked about is cross-region, which he goes on to talk about is a pretty big issue right now in the community, because right now, I'm in Canada, friends in EU, we can't play together. Now, it was mentioned if we do get a solution, the ranked will stay region locked. However, it seems like the solution he's looking for is just playing with friends and being able to have your own private lobbies, which is going to be non-region locked. So I can group up with some players. Hopefully that also increases the player group size to 8, but hopefully we can invite people into our server cross region. We can do races together. That's basically the whole gist of the cross region solution that they're talking about. Now, the next thing to talk about is AIs, which obviously is pretty big in the TD scene. So they say that they're going to work on AIs, which is obviously well needed. He goes on to say how it actually works in terms of how they're taking corners and doing drifts. In fact, there was a video on Reddit I saw which showed an AI doing an insane drift turn at max speed, and that's one of the constraints that they need to fix and improve for this patch, which is going to come hopefully next week before the season. But that balancing is going to happen, and we'll see that in time. The next part of the video is meta, where they go over the meta vehicles, because obviously, you know, stuff like the 918 or the buggy is clearly meta vehicles, and I've been able to progress through TDSC with 0 meta other than the TTRS, you know. But with that being said, they also go on balancing in terms of all-wheel drive vehicles, because that seems to have the edge on rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive vehicles in the game. So they do go on to say that, you know, obviously they want to improve and balance it, and whether that includes maybe creating actual races that have it locked to say all-wheel drive only or rear-wheel drive only vehicles, or even just balancing how all-wheel drive acts with a center diff in terms of turning and everything. That seems like some improvements that is also going to happen in this upcoming patch as well. We don't have the patch notes yet, as I mentioned, but not much else. Now, for compensation, they go over it. They don't want it to be something simple. They're just still thinking about it internally on what they can do for the compensation. So not really much else there. Then lastly, we have the conclusion, which I'll play a little bit for you guys right now, just so you can get the gist of it.
There's also content that's coming. Right now, we're only at context, so that's coming. And then, well, there's also content that's coming. Right now, we're only at the first season, and the first season hasn't even started yet. So there are going to be a lot of things happening in the first season. Live events, the Solo Crown Live, so a lot of content is coming. And then behind that, well, Ibiza
in season 2. The arrival of Ibiza, season 3. We've already talked about that in the last interview on the last video we made. Season 2, Ibiza. Season 3, the clan war. Season 4, the casino, the return of the casino. There's a lot of content coming to the game, so that's cool.
So again, another thing I want to also just brush into is that, like I told you guys, in between these seasons, there is going to be more content than just the face value clan war, just the face value Ibiza, just the face value of the casino. There's going to be more, but again, year 2 is definitely where I think hopefully is where they show the real direction, the lifestyle direction of this game. And they need to communicate that, you know, sooner rather than later. At least say that, because, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, you guys yourselves don't have that concept, the same concept as I do. So that needs to be improved, and it needs to be reiterated to you guys as well.
And we're really happy to see that a lot of players are currently having a lot of fun with TDU.
Which is true. I'm having fun. Some people aren't,
we
though.
wanted to thank you, because it's really cool to see that you're playing the game the way we imagined it. It's truly amazing. I've seen some incredible screenshots and gameplay sessions. I've seen some streamers I follow regularly. They don't know this, but they're just monsters at driving, and they try hard every day. It's exactly the image of TDU, the cruising that's happening.
It's really satisfying to find that in the game. We had connection problems, that's for sure, at the launch of the game. But thankfully, there are quite a few players who managed to play a lot. And what I felt is that they really loved the game. They spent a lot of time in it, truly experiencing natural progression, a lot of enjoyment, and a strong desire to advance. But also for those who know, at least from their comments, they found that test drive unlimited spirit again. And honestly, that's part of our goals. And we at Kyloton are very proud to have succeeded in recreating that feeling, that sense of being in a TDU, because it's a somewhat unique sensation. It's truly rewarding to see players feel that and love it.
Oh, and by the way, I just want to bring up this part again because this is very important. I think we should all hear.
Quite a few updates and improvements planned for the game, but in fact, we're already working on what comes next. We're listening and seeing what the players expect. We have some surprises too, because there are things we want to add to the game.
Like
We're
houses,
going to
missions.
TDU 2, of course. We're going to improve the game with things that already existed. But we'll enhance
Like houses
those
and missions.
and add things that didn't exist before. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that and testing everything in the game.
And there are things that aren't even announced yet that will be added over time, like small quality of life improvements, etc. So that's cool.
Nice. So just to kind of skip to the last part here, the recap, which my face comes in the way. Again, looks like what we're going to be getting is major server-side connection improvements, first performance optimization. This is coming in the next few days, 300 bug fixes, free slow pass for everyone, beginning of Silicon competition, introduction of live events, upcoming patches, first major graphical enhancements for the PS5, which I think is the second one. I think basically AI rebalancing and meta balancing will not come in this patch, if I am understanding this correctly. I would assume they would have added that to where it says first major patch, but I'm not too sure. Hopefully we get confirmation on that a little bit further, because it would be nice to be able to play through ranked and everything with the meta rebalancing and AI balancing in that same patch for the season. But I'm assuming mid-November is when we'll see this patch, hopefully, fingers crossed. But it does go on to say also other content such as Ibiza, Clown Wars Casino, much more. Because obviously there is going to be much more in between the seasons than face value, as I told you guys. But yeah, so that's the dev diary video. Again, overall morale, I think the community is a bit disappointed with how some of the things in this video were worded, which is totally fair. You know, there needs to be obviously a larger focus on the lifestyle. Let us know, the community, because as I've said, my position is not going to be the same as your position. You guys have a totally different, you're looking at this as face value. You know, you don't have the same intel and information as I have. So Nakan and KT need to reiterate, the lifestyle is definitely true. They're not going to not listen to it, because if you saw this first, if you heard it, you would think, oh, we're not going to get houses anymore, which isn't true. Houses is still being worked on for Test Travel and Solar Crown, and you know, again, so much more. But that being said, you know, communication on that aspect needs to improve. So fingers crossed we see that. Obviously, you guys know I feedback that a lot anyways. But let me know what you guys think of this. Leave a comment down below. Please don't get toxic, because holy shit, I'm tired of that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, bro. Every video I upload now, because I still like the game, you know. It's okay to like the game and still advocate for changes and features to improve it, because, you know, you want to see your game be better than what it is now. So, you know, anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. I'm Out7. I'll see you guys on the video. I'm out, guys. Peace.